Ortman here, voice of the Peoria Mustangs. This is Around the Stable, and as you can see on the screen, joined by Mustangs head coach, the man behind the bench, Mr. Steve Ortman. Ort, good to see you. It seems like it's been forever.
Yeah, it has been. It seems like it's been 5 months, but it really hasn't.
Yeah, time really flies by. We're reinvigorating the Around the Stable, kind of getting things rolling again, getting everybody wetting their whistle just a little bit ready for the upcoming 2022-23 NA3HL season. So we have head coach Ortman here with us. Or we had kind of a weird second half to the season. Went 15-1-2 from January 7th till the end of the season. But the thing that kind of made that unique was the type of schedule we had. And, you know, you can't take any team in this Central Division for granted because they're like, some teams are like a snake in the grass. They'll jump up and bite you right on the backside when you least expect it. But we saw Rochester 4 times, Oregon 6, and then 4 games against 2 teams that were both fighting for that 4th and final playoff spot in that Central Division. Coming back after the Christmas break, swept Rochester, and it was a 4-1 game, and then that 1-0 thriller. By my research, that is the first time the Mustangs have swept Rochester at the Owens Center in Peoria. But kind of getting back in after that Christmas break and getting that sweep of Rochester, how did that get the wheels going with the boys?
Well, that was a huge weekend. We gave them a little break from showcase till that point, and so we kind of weren't sure how things were going to go that first game. I think we skated. We had 2 practices before we got back on the ice for that first game against them, and we knew it was going to be big if we could play a solid game the first day and pull one out the second game. You know, you think about the year before, we split the season with Rochester, but neither team won 2 in a row. And so when we won that first game, we knew they were going to come out guns a-blazing the second night, which they did. And we held on and did what we needed to do to get that win. And I think that kind of got the ball rolling for us in a kind of a mentality type of a way, because you know, you figure if you can take 2 from Rochester right out of the gate on the second half of the year, then you know, it kind of puts the confidence level up that you're going to be able to should be able to do that against any team if you play the right way.
Absolutely right. And then kind of moving along, fast forwarding a little bit, you had a pair of games after that in St. Louis, came back home, played Milwaukee, a 5-1 win, and then a 9-2 win over Milwaukee, they were trying to surge at that time and kind of get into that playoff picture. And the boys just weren't having it. They just kept rolling and rolling and rolling. And then getting into Oregon coming in, completely different team than the team we saw from the first 2 games of the season there at the Owens Center, and had to bunch them up all at the end of the season. How do you get the guys up and ready to go for those games when they haven't seen a team for months?
Well, that's the tough part, and playing a team that many times is very difficult. They were motivated because we were in, we were in a battle with them for second place. They really wanted second place, so I think that helped the motivational factor. But like you say, it's very difficult playing a team that many times. You start taking things for granted, and you just, you win 2 in a row, you think the third one's just going to happen, and if you win the third one, you think the fourth one's just going to happen. And I think as much as I loved having the winning streak, you don't do much learning when you win that many games in a row, especially if you don't play solid games. You play just well enough, maybe not a good first period, and then you turn it on, you come back at the end, or vice versa. You start creating some bad habits. And I was joking with Gia through that whole streak, and I kept telling him, we need to lose. And Clint and everybody else is looking at me, and they're like, what are you talking about? We need to keep rolling. I go, I know, but right now we're creating bad habits, and there's some things that are going on that we really need to break, and we needed a loss. And, that's part of the game. And when you have a young team like we always have, it's, we didn't have the veteran depth that can buckle up and kick some guys in the rear end and get them going when they need to and stuff like that. So, it's a learning curve and it's going to be good for them in the future and wherever they're playing, so that's good.
So moving along from that Oregon series, taking 2 at home, things then shifted up to the Oregon Ice Arena, a 5-2 win and a 4-2 win up there before coming back home and finishing off with Rochester, which that started a string of 4 games that needed regulation, beyond regulation, to find a winner. And that was a 4-3 win against Rochester home in a shootout, a dramatic shootout. And then everything shifted. Another road series, kind of was like home road there. The second half went up to Oregon, a 2-0 win and a 2-1 win, setting things up for that regular season finale series. Wausau in town. Wausau was a hungry team coming in. They had something they felt they had to prove. And that was when things kind of went a little south, you could say. 3-2 overtime loss. And then that 3-2 regulation loss, the one and only regulation loss of the second half against Wausau. Going into that Wausau series, what was the message kind of in the locker room? Was like, just keep moving, keep going, or was it like, hey, we just need to buckle down and play our game?
We just needed to play our game. I will never tell the players this. I wasn't too worried about a win or a loss on either night. I was kind of looking to see what they were going to do. I was kind of hoping that they were going to do a little resting of some players so I could do the same thing, but they didn't. They came in guns a-blazing, and we played okay both nights, nothing great, and they were a hungrier team and more desperate to get their points that they needed to make sure they stayed in the playoffs, and they did a good job.
So then moving forward into those playoffs, and kind of a grim part of a conversation here. Home ice first round. The boys got off to a great start in game 1 against Oregon, and then things kind of just, you don't want to say the wheels fell off, but things just kind of went awry in that game 1 and ended up with that 6-5 loss there, with Oregon scoring about midway through that third period, the game winner. How was everything coming in after that game, taking that game 1 loss and just kind of getting everybody back to sorts?
Well, they were pretty down, which they should be. I thought that if you think about our games and you announcing them every week, you know what it's like, and you probably know the same thing that we're going through. And I really thought that as soon as we got the lead after the first period, that we stopped playing altogether, and we were doing everything we could on the bench to get them motivated to play. And I think they just thought, oh, here's number 7. We're up by a few goals. It's going to be in the bag. We got it made, and it bit them in the rear end. They didn't play a full 60 minutes, and was kind of one of the things that we were working on over the course of the second half. When I was telling you about our win streak and needing to have that win streak end, that's one of the reasons why we weren't playing 60 minutes, and we knew we had to in the playoffs. But after that game, I think they got their brains were wrapped around it. And I'll honestly say that the second game in Oregon, with the loss there, was probably the best game we played in the second half, even though we did end up losing that one in overtime on a horrible call. And but I was talking to Clint on the bench in that game when we went to overtime. I told him we're going to have to make it all the way through this entire overtime, because the hockey gods are pissed at us right now. We didn't play a full game the day before. I said, we owe the hockey gods 20 minutes. So it's going to be a second overtime for us to win. If we don't make it to the second overtime, we're not winning. And he thought I was crazy, but that's exactly what happened.
And speaking of that game too, the overtime, thriller there. I do believe Oregon scored with 17 seconds left in regulation on the power play, a doorstep scramble. How did you feel with the way Andrew Duran played? I feel, and this is just coming from the broadcaster, that's probably the most solid game I've ever seen Andrew Duran play. He was positioned. He just played everything really well and played really smart.
Yes, he did. And, Andrew is an unbelievable goalie. He tracks the puck. He deals with everything that's going on. He knows where stuff's at. He knows where bodies are at. And he was definitely in the zone in that game. He wanted it bad. I think I wanted it for him more than anything in the world because he did play an unbelievable game.
So moving on to, we'll say, greener pastures, a little happier things. So our season ended a little earlier than anybody had liked. Tell the viewers out there what you did after the season ended and how you pitched in with a very special contribution with one Jean-Guy Trudel.
Well, my buddy Guy gave me a call not too long after. He gave me a few days. He knew I was not very happy. Gave me a call and said he wanted me to come on the bench with him in the Riverman and run the D. And I was like, well, I'll come on the bench, but I don't want to be the guy that comes on the bench and throws a curveball into something that you guys have been working on or whatever, but I'll come on the bench and be another set of eyes or whatever. Well, that lasted the first game. And then the next game he had me run the D. And then it just became kind of a good luck charm. We were winning games. The D they liked it when I was on the bench. And so we just kept the ball rolling, I guess.
So the significance of all this is you had three guys in that Riverman uniform that have gone through this Mustangs program in Alec Hageman, Mitch McPherson, and Austin Wisely. As a coach and somebody that knows them guys and has kind of watched them grow up and mature through the game, how did that feel to you, seeing them guys be able to hoist that President's Cup and skate around the ice with it?
Oh, it was unbelievable. I felt so happy for those guys. Every day when I would get down to the locker room before the games and stuff, they would ask, "Are you going on the bench?" And, yeah. And I would talk to them and on the bench and, pulled Hags off to the side. He had a couple shifts where he wasn't happy with himself and just told him, just tune the whole building out. So it was nice. I think it was like more of a calming presence for those guys being around me all those years. And then in that kind of a situation. So it felt good to be able to, maybe say the right thing that helped them to reach their goal.
And that is one thing, you get a guy like Alec Hagman, and I interviewed him at one of our first games about winning the President's Cup down in Pensacola. He goes, it feels good, but it's going to be even more special when we do it here in Peoria. And I woke up the next morning after that, and I had a text from Blake that said, "Can you believe this? This is absolutely unreal." So it kind of just shocks the whole kind of system with guys that, even like Blake played with, and seeing these guys win this and conquer a feat that not everybody gets to do is a pretty special thing. Would you agree?
Oh, I would agree 100%, especially for Hags. Hags has been through the grind and worked at this, reaching that goal for so many years with the Rivermen. And, that's the one thing he really wanted to be able to do is, bring a championship to his hometown, and being the hometown guy and the captain and everything. It was awesome to be able to see him experience that.
All right, Mustangs fans, this is head coach Steve Ortman. Keep an eye out. We're going to do these several times throughout the summer. We're going to get things set up for the upcoming 2022-23 season. And Ort, you may not know, but have you heard anything about when the schedule is going to come out for this upcoming season?
I had an email today. They're working on it right now. So got a lot of big things planned, just waiting for the schedule so we can start planning stuff. I think we're going to do some jersey auctions this year, some special nights, do a lot of fun stuff along with the around the stable. I'm glad it's back.
Me too. And Mustangs fans, you heard it here first from Mustangs head coach Steve Ortman. Keep an eye out. Got a lot of special things planned this upcoming season, things that you're not going to want to miss. So keep an eye on all Mustang social media platforms and right here to Around the Stable. Thank you for watching.